Brian Grimes, your real estate mentor, back with another action-packed session. We're going to be breaking down a advanced strategy, a couple of them actually, that can get you to $10,000 a month per deal. So it's definitely going to be a lot of information for you guys. Make sure you stay tapped in. Make sure you stay locked into the session. Ask any questions you have as we work our way through. Drop them in the chat section, the comment section, and we'll just kind of answer those questions as we go. If you're new to the channel, like, comment, subscribe. Leave the comment that says I subscribe. For everyone who leaves that comment, I'm going to send you instant access to my free real estate training. It's going to show you how to acquire properties for pennies on a dollar all across the country. You don't want to miss out on that free offer. So let's get into it. A couple of other things before we dive in. We got the ride along coming up, guys, January 13th. That's going to be live in Philly. You're going to spend a Saturday with me. And on that Saturday, we're going to be seeing a lot of properties. We're going to be inspecting properties together. We're going to be walking houses together, talking to contractors, showing you guys this game hands-on, because hands-on is really the easiest way to learn this game, in my opinion. There are a lot of ways to try to learn. There's group courses, there's one-on-one coaching, which one-on-one coaching is really the way you want to go, something more personalized. But having access to that hands-on training is not something that you should miss out on. It's something that you should take advantage of, because if you can walk a property with somebody who's built hundreds of houses, the information that you're going to absorb from that is insane. It's going to 10x your education. It's going to advance you like a decade. So definitely make sure you tap into that level of information, and it's going to put you in a better position long term. And those tickets are selling out really fast, those ride along tickets. So we only have a couple of tickets left. We also have the boots on the ground program. If you just want me to build a house for you, it's really like the done for you model. If you're like, Brian, look, I want to do this real estate thing, but I just don't have the time. We'll just build a house for you with the boots on the ground program. So you can tap into that. We'll flip houses for you, build rental properties for you, all that stuff. So let's get into the mindset, guys. Once again, we're going to break down 5 different areas of real estate you guys can tap into with the goal of doing about $10,000 per month. Even off of one deal. I'm going to show you a strategy, if you stick around, where one property could cash flow you about $10,000 per month. So that's going to be pretty powerful. So make sure you stick around, ask lots of questions. Let's get into the mindset. So guys, the mindset, I was actually talking to a guy earlier today, and he was interested in a mentorship program. He was interested in a lot of different things. And he's telling me about how he failed at times. He's like, man, I failed. I was trying to do XYZ. I was getting into this program, that program. I tried wholesaling. I tried the BRRRR strategy, and he just couldn't figure it out. And he was so, I don't want to say like distraught by it, but he was just like, man, like, is this going to happen to me? I've heard like you can fail many times and still win big in real estate, but is that true? And I'm like, bro, it's true, man. You can lose a lot in this game. Even if you've been struggling to get started, even if you haven't figured it out, even if you haven't gotten into the right mentorship program, you can deal with all of those things and then come back into this game and hit one big win, knock it out the park. Like, it happens all the time. So don't hold yourself back mentally worrying about the past, what has happened already, what you've done, like at your job, or how your life is going, or how you were raised, or your lack of opportunities. You don't want to worry about that, because it doesn't matter. If you get access to the right knowledge, especially financial knowledge, like real estate knowledge, and you take that information and apply it, you're going to hit a win, and one win could land you 5,000 a month, 10,000 a month, or run you up. Like, we have one of our youngest mentees, he ran up like 25,000 this month on no cash, no credit deals. This isn't like going to the bank, qualifying, and doing all these different things. This is implementing the strategies that we teach to all of our mentees and just running up a bag. And he's still kind of crashing at home. So it's just like all money straight into the pocket. So make sure you guys just stay locked in on some of these opportunities that are out there, because it's really just a special time to invest in real estate, in my opinion. There's a lot going on in this game. There's a lot of opportunities out there. Interest rates are falling again. Prices are kind of in flux. There's just so much going on. in my opinion, that if you stay locked in, if you really focus in right now and start to build up your fundamentals and some of these strategies that we'll talk about today, you can hit 2024 running. And one win, it only takes one win to cover those losses. So mentally, I want you guys locked into getting to your win. You only have to be the founder of Nike would say you only have to be right the last time. You only have to be right the last time. Doesn't matter how many times you got it wrong. So stay tapped into that mindset. So let's get into some of these 5 strategies, guys. And if you're, once again, if you're new, like, comment, subscribe, leave a comment that says I subscribed. I'll send you that free training. And then we're going to get started. I'm going to tap out and come back in because the audio is getting choppy a little bit. Into this thing, guys. We have 5 strategies. These are the 5 strategies. I will call them the core strategies that you should be focused on. A lot of people get into real estate, and there are some other core strategies. There might be like 7, but these are the ones I want you guys focused on because they're the most profitable. There are other ones like investing in tax liens and different things like that, but I think a lot of people, as they get into that, they find out it's not as profitable as advertised, not for the average person. If you're trying to scale a fund or something and bring on millions and millions of dollars, maybe you could throw that into a tax lien investing type of process. But typically, there are a lot of pitfalls with those auctions, that process. There's redemption rights. So even properties that you're trying to acquire, you just can't get them because people will enforce the redemption rights and take that properties back. So these are the 5 strategies. The first strategy that you should focus on and look into, if you haven't done your first deal yet, you're thinking about how to get in. If you're starting off without tons of cash, tons of credit, and you just are willing to put in sweat equity, you're like, look, I'm trying to flip my way out of this 9 to 5 as quickly as possible. One of the fastest ways to do it is through wholesaling. Wholesaling, the number one skill set that nobody talks about when it comes to wholesaling is you need to understand the cost of construction. So most wholesaling courses out there, most wholesaling coaches out there, they're going to focus completely on marketing, getting in front of motivated sellers, going out, get in front of people, blast text, skip tracing, kind of all of these different techniques. But what they don't teach you is how to actually build houses, what the cost of construction is. How much does it cost to build a house? How do you pull your comps and do your analysis? You need to know that information, because if you don't know how to run your comps and do your analysis to understand what a deal is worth and how much it's going to cost to bring the value up, how could you wholesale it? How could you know what price to negotiate with a motivated seller down to? And then how would you know how to pitch that deal to another investor? Because as a wholesaler, your job is to find profitable deals and pitch them to other investors. So if you don't know the cost of construction, you can never properly pitch someone like me a deal, because I'm going to look at your numbers and say, okay, great. You got them. The house is worth $400,000 at a max ARV. You got it under contract for $200K. Congratulations. But it costs $180,000 to renovate it. And you don't know that. And I do. So when you come with your deal, Brian, I got this great deal for 50 cents on the dollar. And I'm looking at the condition and the square footage and saying, well, it's 50 cents on the dollar, but it's a 3,500 square foot property. It's going to cost me $100 per square foot to full gut it, maybe 120 per square foot to full gut it. That's not a win for me. That's not a win for anyone. So then a lot of wholesalers who don't learn this get stuck with deals. They get in these courses, they get excited, they get stuck with deals, and then they can't sell them. Then they lose the commission. They miss out on the deal. Somebody more sophisticated at wholesaling will come in, renegotiate the seller down. Somebody like me will talk to the seller and just say, look, your deal is going to cost somebody $150,000 to renovate it. I know you love the house. I know you grew up in the house, but here's what it's worth. So we need to be at this price to move it fast. I'm going to negotiate them down on price so that there's enough of a developer spread to go out and flip that deal. But if you learn this discipline, you can easily make $10,000, $15,000 a deal. There's some people that are making as much as $50,000, $60,000 per deal, just doing different types of wholesaling. And wholesaling is kind of a broad band arena or area of real estate investing, there are a lot of different strategies within the wholesaling bucket that you can get into. There are some things like astro flipping, where you just go to other wholesalers who can't move their deals and you build a big buyers list and you move other non-sophisticated wholesalers deals and make commissions or take half of their commissions. So you can scale this infinitely. You can do this in town, out of town, from your kitchen table, in your underwear. Like, you can really knock this out of the park. And there are new investors that, you know, I've kind of mentored into this business for as little as a couple of months that are out making, you know, 5 figures a month, 10, 15,000 a month doing this stuff. So if you're interested in getting in, but you don't have a lot of capital, credit, tap into this strategy. You can start to do, you know, upwards of 10K a month once you get the ball rolling, pick up some momentum. But what you guys have to do or think about, and it goes back to that mindset, which is you only need the one win, because once you win one time, you could do it 100 times. You could do it 1,000 times. Just keep doing the same thing again and again and again. And that's why you only need one win, because once you win that first time, you're just going to do it multiple times and get to the next level and just continue to scale yourself. So stay tapped in there. Guys, if you have any questions, comments about any of these strategies as we're going through them, just drop them in the chat section. We'll kind of answer those questions as we go. But this is a strategy to focus on. Up next, we have the BRRRR strategy. So the BRRRR strategy, this strategy comes into play. Like a lot of people come to me and say, well, Brian, I want to invest in real estate and I have decent credit. I have some capital. Let's say you had 20K or 15K or something kind of smaller. But I want to be in a system where I can recycle my capital. That's going to be really important to me. This is what you want to do. You want to do the BRRRR strategy. Guys, if you're new, click the links in the description, tap into some of the free information, free trainings we have. I'm going to tap out, tap back in, because we're getting choppy again. All right, let's keep this thing flowing. So with the BRRRR strategy, what you're doing is you're finding properties for pennies on the dollar. The number one thing that you need to keep in mind with the BRRRR strategy is you need to be in deal abundance mindset. You need to be sourcing deals from everywhere. I'm sourcing deals from wholesalers. I'm sourcing deals from the auctions. I'm going directly to motivated sellers. I'm going directly on the MLS, Redfin, Zillow, Remax.com. I'm networking with different realtors. I'm just tapped in. Anywhere there are deals, I want to see them, because I'm trying to cherry pick deals that I can value add. Something I can buy for 50,000, put in 40,000, and then it's worth 150. If I can build that type of system, I can buy and renovate properties with construction loans, hard money loans, and then refinance my money out, get all my money back, and then put a tenant in, rent it, and make some cash flow. So the BRRRR strategy, what it will do is unlock you. If you're one of those people who's going to a bank and you've been denied, like they've kind of told you, like, you know, your debt to income ratio, or they kind of give you some type of feedback and it's not going to work out for you. You want to get into the BRRRR strategy. The BRRRR strategy specifically is working with lenders who are non-QM lenders. These are non-qualified mortgage lenders, meaning they don't really care about you outside of your credit score, and some don't care about your credit score. There are no doc lenders. There are lenders who only underwrite the deal and the deal's ability to cash flow, not really you. So there are some that don't care about your credit and don't care about, you know, your tax returns or any of that type of stuff. So you can tap into the right lenders, find the right properties that they're going to be interested in funding because they have the right metrics, and then execute. You do have to understand how to renovate properties. So I would say mentorship is critical here. You don't necessarily want to go out and learn from a school of hard knocks as a BRRRR strategist, as somebody who's taken on heavier renovations, sometimes gut renovations, because any mistake you make, it could cost you 10,000, 15,000, 20,000. And when you're just getting started, you don't have the capital to handle those types of losses. You just don't. So mentorship, making that investment into your education, is going to protect you from bad contractors. So the people that are out there who are like, hey, I got burned by a contractor, like me, I got burned by a contractor for 40, 50 grand on my first deal, trying to figure this out from the school of hard knocks. There are people I talk to that got burned for 100K or 200K. There's like tons of horror stories out there. And I mean, you guys have seen different horror stories recently on the news. Like there's a lot of that out there. So you want to invest in your education so that you therefore don't have to trust. You don't, because that's a question I'll get. Brian, who do I trust? I see so many people talking about real estate, and how do I know who to trust? You need to put yourself in a position where you just have to trust you because you have the knowledge. So invest, get the knowledge. Don't try to shortcut, but get straight to the knowledge, and then you will be able to go out and execute. The average BRRRR strategy deal, if you can recycle 100% of your capital and get it back in cash flow, $500 to $1,000 a month, and you could scale this type of process to easily do, I mean, I've done as many as 100 of these deals in a year or more. So you could do 10 of these in a year. If you get the right play, if you get started, more importantly than anything, if you just get started, get one done, build the right systems, get the right knowledge, and get into this game, you can scale your way up to the point where you could do 5, 10 of these, maybe 20 of these a year at $500 to $1,000 a month per property. Set it and forget it, put on property management. And for the average person, $10,000 a month in cash flow, you're out of the rat race. You're out of the 9 to 5 right there. So very important strategy to learn. Heavier on renovation. It's not capital intensive though. It is and it isn't, because you can get the construction loans. So if you can get construction loans, it's not as capital intensive as some of the other strategies. It's not like going and just parking 25% or 20% down into a deal. This is getting a bit more creative with your financing and putting yourself in a better position where you can actually win. Guys, if you're new to the channel, if you're getting value, like, comment, subscribe, leave a comment that says I subscribed. Share the content with somebody else who you think who you want to get some value, right? And then click the links in the description to tap into some of the free real estate trainings we have for you, to learn more about the ride along, the boots on the ground programs, or even the one-on-one mentorship program where I work with you one-on-one through some of these strategies to get you to the next level. Next up, we have the buy and flip strategy. So the buy and flip strategy, to me, it's not there are some people who just flip. If you watch like HGTV, Property Brothers, and some of these people, there are people who just flip exclusively. Like they don't hold anything. I'm of the mindset that you should try to hold as much as possible. Typically, when you flip a lot of properties, you end up regretting selling them, because 3 or 4 years from now, I'll get into that question. It's a good question. 3 or 4 years from now, those properties are going to have doubled or tripled in value, and the rental income is also going to double. So if you would have just held it, you would have had all of this equity and then more rental income coming off of that property. So selling in many ways is a negative. When we come back, I'm going to answer this question. I'm going to tap out and tap back in. So we had a question come through, which is, what does the acronym BRRRR stand for? It's actually 4 R's. It's buy, renovate, rent, refinance, repeat. Buy, rehab, rent it out, find a tenant, refinance, pull all your money back out of it, and then repeat the process. So it's a cycle of just printing out deals. Let's say you had $50,000 and you had a construction lender, like I have access to, like 100% lenders give you 100% of the money to buy and renovate properties. You could acquire 2-3 properties a quarter, let's call it, if you were running a smaller operation. Get that lender to fund the acquisition and renovation, put tenants in them when you're done with the rehabs, refinance all your money out, pay off the construction lenders, and then get your money back, and then go out and do 3 more, and go out and do 3 more. So you can constantly keep going in and out and repeating this process. And that allows you to just print infinite deals. If you think about it, it's an infinite deal system. Once you master it, once you get down to the nuts and bolts of the strategy. So the BRRRR strategy is probably the most powerful strategy in real estate investing. It's the most powerful. It's the best on taxes as well. Because flipping, One of the negatives as we're getting into flipping is as you're flipping these properties, you're creating short-term gains. So you're getting 100% like fully taxed on all of the profits there. Whereas with the BRRRR strategy, because of the development that you're putting into the property and the way that you can do cost segregation and bonus depreciation on these assets, you can actually run at a capital loss on most of these deals in the early years, at least like years 1 through 5. And if you keep developing more every year than you did the prior year, so this year I did 4 deals, next year I did 8 deals, you will continue to create losses and therefore be on the side of the tax code where you're just not paying any taxes. You can make $1 million or you could get your hands on, let me put it this way, you could get your hands on $1 million of cash with the BRRRR strategy and have zero taxes. There are parts of that strategy where you can get access to massive amounts of capital, zero taxes. So it is the by far the most tax friendly. Flipping, you can get more capital, and one of the positives about flipping, outside of the negative taxes and just there's always some risk in flipping because there's not multiple exit strategies. When you're renting, you can rent to all different types of people. You can room rent, you can do co-living, you can do Section 8. There's different types of opportunities. When you're flipping, you're just flipping. But when you get those profits, you don't have the headaches of tenants. There's no management. You're not committed to the property long term. There are some benefits there. And it gives you the liquidity and the capital to go out and do more BRRRR. And that's really the ultimate combo with these, and how I recommend using flipping is as a way to create more capital to go out and acquire more buy and hold BRRRR strategy deals that are going to create the losses that will offset the profits from the flipping. So when you use both simultaneously, you can actually generate enough losses off of the BRRRR strategy to wipe out your flip profits from a paper standpoint, so from a tax standpoint, and that's going to put you in the best position financially. But buying and flipping, I mean, you really have to just master construction, and you have to master thinking like an appraiser, what the market is going to pay for this property, how to put them back together. There are a lot of different disciplines there for the flipping. But to me, the purpose of the flip is to ultimately hold again, to get yourself in a position, if your goal is to get out of the 9 to 5, where you're cash flowing, where you're bringing in 10, 15, 20,000 a month, and you just don't have to get up and go to work at all. That's the goal of this thing. Because if you just keep flipping, you're going to have a new job as a buy and flipper. If you keep doing the BRRRR strategy, eventually you're just going to have a ton of cash flow. And you can get up, travel, do whatever you want. You're just completely unplugged from the matrix. So that'll definitely help you guys. Let's get into creative financing. So creative financing it's another strategy you guys should focus on, and it kind of takes wholesaling to the next level. We got another question that I'll get to. I'll get to that. We kind of take wholesaling to the next level because with creative financing, what we can do is we can go out and get in front of motivated sellers and leverage the existing debt that's already on the property. So instead of BRRRR strategy, where we're kind of dealing with construction lenders, wholesaling, where we're just trying to essentially flip their property, or flipping, where we are directly flipping. With creative financing, what we're doing is going to somebody who's in foreclosure, pre-foreclosure, and we're saying, well, what kind of mortgage do you have? They might have a 30-year fixed mortgage at 3.5% and still be in foreclosure because they lost their job. You want to acquire that debt. You want to take over that debt, because that debt at 3%, 3.5% interest rate, highly valuable in today's market. So when you learn creative financing, you're going to learn how to leverage the existing debt that's already on these assets. If you acquire a property by getting it deeded over to you and just taking over the existing debt, you don't have to go to the bank to qualify. So it's a major hack. We're going to get into this question, and then we're going to talk more about creative financing when I tap back in. So we had a question come through, and I want to address this, and then we'll get back into creative financing. But creative financing goes a mile deep. There's a lot of value. So hey, Brian, is there a way to know the construction cost and ARV value before closing on a property? For example, when not using a wholesaler? Well, definitely. I mean, there's absolutely a way. If you want to know the appraised value or the ARV, the after repair value, you could always hire an appraiser, or you could build a relationship with an appraiser. If you go to your like a local real estate meetup group, you can probably network your way to an appraiser, because everybody who does real estate deals with appraisers. What you don't know is when you start doing multiple deals, if you did 20 deals a year, what would happen is you would start working with the same appraiser, because you're doing so much volume that you can just go to the lender and say, you know what, this guy, he's actually very easy to deal with. He can handle a high volume. We have a good working relationship, and I just want you to use him. And they'll use that appraiser. And you can get that appraiser position with a lot of different lenders and people that you work with, but you'll end up using one appraiser. And if you have that relationship, you could go to them and say, can you give me a back of the envelope ARV on this deal? What do you think it'll come in at? And they can just say, I don't know. I think it'll come in around here about 250, 265 based on what I'm seeing. And that information, let's say if you did that, let's say if you built a zip code map, and then you took 3-bed, 1-bath, 4-bed, 1-bath, different square footage, kind of proxy properties in every zip code, and then got them back of the envelopes, you would pretty much know the value of everything in the market in a general region for at least 6 months to a year, because the comps don't change that fast. So there's a lot of ways that you can get in there on the ARV. I would say from the construction side, you could pay a contractor to bid out a project and just give you the numbers. So you could pay them a couple $100, bid it out, give me the numbers, and they'll do it. Or you gotta have some experience. So for like me and how we do the analysis, because I've built over 300 properties now, I can just look at the property, the square footage, what materials are generally needed, and I already know all the numbers. So it's just like, okay, I'm going to build a budget of what it's going to cost to build this property. So I'm literally going to watch videos or walk through a property, look around, see what needs to be replaced, and then do my mental math, because I'm building houses all the time. And then it's just like, all right, this is going to cost us about 125, 137, like whatever the number comes out to. And that's going to be the number, because I know the cost of construction. I know how these houses are built. If you don't know the cost of construction, that's a major risk factor for you as an investor. So it's a reason to tap into the right knowledge and to have somebody watch over your back. So for you, it's like, you could just send me that deal. You could just take that deal, send it to me. Hey, what do you think this is going to cost to build? And I'll tell you. And then you have that information as a reference point. So when you get to the next deal and you don't know what it costs, you can look back at the other deal you evaluated and say, oh, okay, so it was in this condition, all new flooring, was about $4 per square foot. Okay, cool. You can start to map it out. So construction is really like, it's almost like baking a cake without a recipe or measuring cups at time. Like it's really more of a feel and understanding the general costs, the timelines. You're going to run into some hurdles. You're going to run into some things on most deals, not on all, and not overall if you're doing a high volume of deals. But there are going to be the ones you could, if you're doing 1 or 2 deals a year, you might have one of those deals be a rough deal. If you're doing 20 deals a year, usually about 15 of them are going to be smooth. 5 are going to take a little bit of extra work, and that's just part of the game. So you just kind of keep pushing. So hopefully that helps to answer that question. Guys, if you have any more questions, comments, drop them in the chat section. We'll kind of keep flowing through these things as we go. Back on creative financing. So it's all about just leveraging the existing debt. It's all about getting sellers to deed you over the property and then controlling the property through the debt. So taking over the debt payments. So if somebody had a mortgage, they might only owe $600 a month on that mortgage, but they might be in foreclosure. And that property might be able to rent for $1,500 a month, but they just don't know it because they're living in it. They've been in it for a while and they don't know. So you might come in, deed me over the property. I'll pay $1,800 to correct the debt. And there are transactional lenders who will give you that money too. There's like, you can always get the money if you can structure deals. So that you get the money to 1,800, correct everything, close on a deal, and then bring in a new rent-to-owner buyer, pseudo buyer, to close on that deal, put maybe 10 grand in your pocket, and then pay you cash flow every month to not even be the landlord. So there's just so much to this creative financing game. I mean, it's one of the things we focus on a lot in the course, and we have a lot of mentees that are out doing creative financing deals and having a lot of success. It's the way to get in if you're starting out with no cash and credit and you want to hold properties, you want to get cash flow. Wholesaling is more about flipping for profits. Creative financing is more cash flow, but you can get big profits. We have some more questions. I'm going to cut out and then cut back in. Okay, so where do we find good lenders? There are so many con artists. Yeah. I would say with the lenders, I mean, referrals are a good way to find lenders. There are a lot of lenders out there, and lenders are lenders, man. I mean, they're nice until they're not nice. You know, that's kind of how it is. They're nice when things are going well. If anything goes not well, they're not nice. But it's just a business. I don't know that it's overly personal with lenders. Um, I haven't run into too many con artists, like hard money companies. I've heard some stories, but I haven't run into it personally. I think it's really just shopping around. I mean, the best thing to do is to pull your own credit report, and then like pull your FICOs, your tri-merge from all three of the major credit reporting agencies. Shop yourself around without hard inquiries, and find a lender that's going to work with you. Because if you're a new investor, there's going to be certain lenders that will work with new people who've never done a deal before. If you're experienced, you can almost work with everybody. But the people that you have experience with, they're going to probably offer you the best rates so you don't leave. Because once a lender finds out that you can execute, they never want you to leave. They don't like dealing with new relationships anyway. So for me, I haven't had any trouble finding lenders. For all the people who are my mentees, one of the first things we do when you join the VIP one-on-one mentorship program is I start to lace you up with all these relationships. People I've done hundreds of deals with on the lending side, I will just hand over those relationships so that I know you're dealing with at least some good options. And I just haven't run into too many issues with construction lenders. Most of the time they do what they're supposed to do. And as long as you can rehab the property, you're going to be successful. The real risk is the contractors. The real risk is not knowing the cost of construction, or not knowing how to do things like pull your permits, or just certain things, running into roadblocks. Like when you're new, you just don't know. So if you go out and try to do a deal through the School of Hard Knocks and you didn't pull any permits, then the city inspector comes through, red tags your door, shuts your project down. You're not going to know how to get out of that. And not knowing how to get out of that could cost you $15,000, $20,000, versus knowing how to get out of it. You might get out of that for a G or less. So that's where knowledge and mentorship kicks in. Knowledge, a lot of people assume that knowledge and mentorship, or just mentorship to gain knowledge, is all about the fast track, the easy path. It is, but it's more than that. It's really about when you're doing deals and you run into a problem. That's when the real big value of mentorship comes in. And you will run into problems. That's real estate. Real estate is just problems, so, putting out fires all day. So that's when people wish they had a mentor. They start calling people, getting blown off by their buddy who's in real estate, and they're like, I don't know what to do. So having a mentor, somebody you can reach out to when you hit a hurdle, that will take your mountain and make it into a molehill, basically, that is the value, because now you can save months and time and accelerate. and that's what you're looking for. But you'll kind of lose any fear of like running into con artists as you become more educated. The real person you need to be able to trust in this business is you and your ability to evaluate deals. That's who you have to trust. Is the owner keeping the mortgage? Yeah, the debt stays in the owner's name with most of these creative financing strategies. Leave the debt in the seller's name. Leave it in their name. So the debt doesn't even go on your back. You don't need credit to qualify. You don't need the bank. And you can make big money. You can make 5-10 grand on a deal and keep it and get cash flow. Actually, you can make way more than you can make 10 grand like up front, but even on the back end of some of these creative financing deals, you can make 40-50 grand on a sale on the back end, and you can get cash flow the whole way and not be the landlord. If the toilet breaks, the sink breaks, they don't even call you. I'm just like the bank. You just send me the money. It's kind of the mindset. So learning about creative financing is a big shocker to most new investors because they don't believe it. Because there's so many talking heads on the internet, and a lot of them are just saying you can invest without cash and credit as a clickbaity way to draw people in. But there are real ways to do it. There are real ways to do it within the creative financing sphere, and you just need to learn them. So it's not real, even though there are a lot of people who talk about it but don't know anything about it. So there's like a combination of both. But yes, the debt will stay in their name, and you can actually go out and invest even if you don't have tons of cash and you have bad credit. You can go out and acquire properties. If you haven't filed taxes in 4 years, you can still go out and acquire properties and get cash flow and break free from the 9 to 5 and start to transition yourself. And let's get into special needs housing. I'm going to tap out and then we'll get back into that. So special needs housing. Special needs housing, you want to think about things like senior housing, um, intellectual disability housing. So building a group home and then renting it out to adults with autism, veterans, seniors who need assisted living, these different types of strategies. They are higher. Some of the negatives, they're higher in regulation. There's a lot of regulation on them and regulatory bodies and different licensing boards, and they have to be up to higher levels of fire code, and you might need a variance. There's going to be more hoops to jump through on these types of assets, these special needs housing opportunities. But some of these assets cash flow insanely. So from one property, as in one house, you could easily cash flow $10,000 to $20,000 a month in cash flow as a special needs type of group home. So if you set up just one property and got it licensed, got the variance, got everything set up, and put the play together, and I'm going to start talking about this a little bit more in 2024. So I'm playing it a little bit closer to the chest than usual. If anyone has any specific questions, you can ask it in the chat or comment section and we'll talk about it. But we're going to talk a lot more about these strategies as we get into 2024. But big cash flow and big opportunity because there are so few people who've ever even heard of this. Like a lot of you might be like, what is that? I know some people who are doing like adults with autism and that type of housing play and getting, $100, like $300, $400 a day per bed. Imagine running a 6-bed, 7-bed at $300-400 a day per bed. That's crazy money. There's people cash flowing crazy money with this strategy. But it's a more advanced, it's more labor intensive. There are ways to do creative financing strategies with it. Like some people are using FHA loans to get a facility up and running, like a special needs housing group home up and running, and then getting different creatively financed loans to get their money back out of those deals, and then move out of the property, go do it again. And if you can acquire just 2 or 3 of these in your life, you can cash flow $45,000-$50,000 a month. Just 2 or 3 special needs deals. So if you did one deal a year, if you did one deal this year, let's say you were like, hey, I want to take this journey. You tap into one-on-one mentorship. We walk you through this process. You get set up. One deal, you're cash flowing $12,000, $13,000 a month. I mean, most people are done just off of that one deal. Then you go do another deal, 2-3 deals, you're up to $50K a month. Definitely more labor intensive in terms of management than any of these. Any of these can be kind of turned off. Like this, you're not even a landlord. You're not the landlord here. You are the landlord here, but you can put property management in place, and you're not a landlord here. So these are very low in terms of work. This one, you're absolutely actively managing. So while you're getting more cash flow, it requires a little bit more focus, more time. But pound for pound, it's a lot of money. So it's something you have to think about. Guys, if you've gotten value so far, click the links in the description. Like, comment, subscribe. Share the content with somebody else who you want to get value. Let me answer some more questions, and we'll put a bow on this thing. How do you sell a lease option remotely if the property is out of state? I would say the same way you sell it if you're there. Same way you sell it if you're there. I mean, even if you're out of state, you need boots on the ground. You need somebody in state who can physically serve as the representation of you. So it doesn't matter if you're in state or out of state. You just need to put yourself in a position where you have somebody there who has a smartphone who you can direct. And you can still set up the right systems. I mean, most of the best systems that I found are remote and are set up in an autopilot way. That's why it's a good system, because it's autopilot. So selling most of these lease options, you can actually do it. The best system that I found was almost 100% automated system. The only part that wasn't automated was the virtual assistant. But there was actually no involvement from the owner. And, there could be up to 50 to 100 viewings a week. Like, just a crazy amount of volume to a property. If you're showing a property 50 to 100 times in a week, it's just going to sell. It's the bottom line. It's just too much volume. So that's what I would say. Even if you're out of state, it's kind of more reason. Like I tell people I built over 300 properties. I built almost all of them from out of state. I'd be shocked if I built more than 2 in state, right? I believe in investing out of state where your money goes further. So if I can do it hundreds of times, you can definitely execute. Guys, any more questions, drop them in the chat section. I'm going to hop out, hop back in. We'll answer more questions. And that, those are the strategies that I want you guys fully focused on. That should kind of wrap up that lease option question. That's what I want you guys fully focused on as we head into 2024 is getting yourself started. Here's some reasons, why you can start in either of these strategies and kind of what they have to offer. You can make over $10,000 a month in all of these strategies, because with the BRRRR strategy, you can do cash out refinances. And some of these cash out refinances, as rates go back down, people are going to be refinancing out 30, 40,000 a deal. Again, 30, 40K a deal. So imagine every deal you did and built as a rental property, you were able to refinance out $30,000, $40,000 cash, tax free. That's the BRRRR strategy. So you can definitely do 10,000 a month here. You probably do 20, 30 a month there, easy. Flip, you can same thing, 30, 50,000 a month. Some people more, easy. Here, I would say less, maybe closer to 5-10 up front, 5-10 a month. But then you're going to be building cash flow, and you're doing this with no cash or credit. And special needs housing is just a freaking gold mine. It's almost not even comparable.
Here's a quick question. Hey, Brian, is there some type of standardized government rate similar to Section 8 matrix when it comes to special needs housing? Yes. And if not, how do you determine the market rate per occupant? There is one way is like with senior housing, they'll have some of the long-term care provider companies like Genworth. Genworth is the largest insurance provider of long-term care insurance. So they have all the data on who gets qualified for what facilities and what the facilities charge nationally. And they have a little chart, and you can go on their website and you can see what people are paying for different levels of senior housing, um, all in any state. And you can see the averages. You can undercut the market. You can see what the premiums are. Um, Public facilities are advertising their prices, so you can just do the basic research. So it's not that part is not similar to Section 8, but then there's also Medicaid, which I would say would be like the Section 8 of this industry. There are like Medicaid programs or Social Security income. There's different groups, but the Medicaid in particular will have a flat rate where it's like, y'all, we're paying 3,800 a month, and then there might be some type of community fee of 700 a month that you can charge to the residents as a community fee, and that's essentially the rent. Medicaid is paying you directly, you're billing the government, and then they're paying 700 a month. But that's for like the Medicaid level residents. Then there's private people who just have the capital, and then there's going to be the long-term care people who have the insurance money. But you can definitely do that research up front and then execute. There's no problem there. Um, what are your top end of year tax write-offs? I mean, maybe you're driving, your mileage, marketing expenses. I mean, marketing expenses are huge for real estate. If you're trying to get the word out about, you buying properties and being a cash buyer and all this stuff, and you're getting in front of motivated sellers, marketing can be a big expense. So that can be good. On the assets you already own, depreciation, ghost depreciation, bonus depreciation, and accelerated depreciation through cost segregation. That's going to be a big write-off. Any type of ancillary stuff. I mean, I always invest in education every year, and I write it off. So my education write-off gets bigger and bigger each year, because each year, as I continue to do better, I will invest. I'll take bits of that and invest into different content or things that I think are going to accelerate my knowledge, allow me to be, better for myself, better for you guys who are tapped into, the mentorship program. Part of the value of that is, even if you're still in transition, working way out of the 9 to 5, because I have that full-time focus, I can go through that research and then bring back that info to you guys so you guys can accelerate. So there is some of that as well. So you get some write-offs there. There's lots of write-offs, man. I mean, the tax code was written for business owners and landowners. In real estate, you're both. So the entire tax code was written for you. So if you stay tapped in and do the right things, you're gonna get massive write-offs. And if you do the real estate full time and your spouse is still working, you could run at a loss and then pass those losses over to the spouse, and then they would get the deduction as well, and you can get refunds and stuff. So it's definitely a game to stay tapped into. It's definitely a game to stay tapped into. Black Space Force TV said, I had my first property in Detroit. I'm having trouble getting lenders to fund the rehab. Do you suggest a HELOC or construction loan at this time? I would like to hold it and let it cash flow. Having trouble getting lenders to fund the rehab. And do you own this property outright? I'm going to tap out and tap back in. Do you own it outright? Okay, so you own this property outright. You could do a HELOC. Even on a rental property, you could do a HELOC. So that might be an option there to do a home equity line of credit and then unlock some liquidity and then use that to finish executing on this deal, or doing what you got to do, and then ultimately doing a refinance on the asset. um, I mean, I'd love to talk to you and figure out why they don't want to fund the deal or what issues you're having. A lot of the times this is just a matter of fit. It's just bad fit. Here's a weird part about lenders. They want you to believe that if they tell you no, that everybody will tell you no. It's so implied. They never say it that clearly, but their whole attitude and energy changes. And they want you to believe that there's no other lender in the world but me. And I said no. And you should just come back to me later. But the truth is, it's just a complete fabrication. Like, just because they said no. I've had lenders say no because they already hit their year-end quota. I had lenders say yes, that maybe should have said no because they didn't hit their year-end quota yet. So it doesn't matter. You just need to keep going until you get your yes. And you might just be talking to the wrong lender. I've had times where I've gone to 10 lenders. No, 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 no. Yes. Okay. Only have to be right the last time. Only have to get the right lender the last time you ask. So just keep going. But I'd love to figure out the issue to see, like, is this a permanent issue or what's going on here? Can this be resolved? I'd love to just learn more. That is what I'm deep in again, and can't wait to talk to you about. Yeah, we're connecting tomorrow. So definitely looking forward to talking to you. I was actually thinking about you as I was tapping into more of the senior housing and things, because you think kind of on that wavelength anyway. I think it'd be perfect for you in the areas that you're investing in. This is so up your alley. I think you could do it with I'm thinking of a creative financing strategy that you could leverage to do this. And I know you could pull it off because of your hustle. I know you could pull this off. Said, damn, that info was fire. Hey, Brian, do you suggest focusing on just one of these strategies or multiple to maximize success? That's a good question. I believe when you come into the 100 Keys Masterclass, our VIP mentorship program, I'm trying to teach you all of this stuff. Now, you only need one of these strategies. You only need to master one to break free from the 9-to-5. So if your ultimate goal is to break free from the 9-to-5 immediately, then it's more about familiarizing yourself with all so that one can stand out. Maybe one or two. No more than two, but usually just one. If one stands out, you tap into that one and you make that the success. We'll show you the blueprint to make that the success. But as you become successful at any one, you're naturally going to start to get into another, because you're going to see another and say, well, I can diversify my success by being successful in both. Because as we talk about all the time, any given strategy, depending on what the market wants to do, could dry out. Doesn't mean it won't be profitable for deals you're holding. Usually once you lock in a deal in this game and it's profitable, it stays profitable. But getting future deals in that strategy may become harder. So you want to have ways that you can ebb and flow. And that's the difference between my philosophy and the average person's philosophy. The average guy's philosophy is like, multifamily is it. If you don't do multifamily, you're stupid. And it's just like, well, that could change. You just don't know. There are people who are just flipping land. There are people just flipping houses. There's people who just do creative financing. I think you need to learn multiple strategies. I think you need to learn multiple, but you only need one to be successful. And then eventually in the maximization of your success, that will happen when you're so successful at one of those strategies that it starts producing profits, because that's what's going to happen. A switch is going to go off one day, and for every dollar you spend, you're going to make 2 or 3 back. And once that happens, you're going to spend more dollars and get more back. And then you're going to take that more and start to diversify it. In your program, do you share accountant contact info to get maximum savings? It's not the accountant that gets you the maximum savings. It's just it's the direction that you give your accountant that gets you the maximum savings. I'll say it again. It's not the accountant that gets you the maximum tax savings. It's the direction that you give your accountants that gets you the maximum tax savings. So you could go to an accounting firm. If this guy's managing hundreds of clients like they usually are because they charge very low, he's going to do your taxes based upon the direction that you give him. Now, if you didn't go out and get a cost segregation study done by a group that just does that, because the groups that do that are going to be more expensive. You might not need them for everything. But getting that done and then passing that down, saying here's the information, here's where the losses are, that is going to get you your big bucks. So, but that's a direction thing. It's not the accountant doing it for you. They're facilitating your vision. I'm going to tap out and tap back in. So that's a good question. It's like I could share my accountant, but it's not always going to do what you want it to do. But sharing a group that is good at cost segregation studies, that's value. But the reality is you can look them up as well. You can look them up, go Google some of these groups and they're going to pop up because that's what they do. That's what they specialize in. But it's not the actual accountant, it's the knowingness. It's like knowing that you can get these losses, that they exist, and the process to get those losses. And that is going to unlock you mentally. The funny part is you don't even have to know that these losses are happening. You don't have to know that these losses are happening to qualify for them. You could just be out building houses, doing your thing, and then the year end comes, and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to have to pay taxes. And they're like, actually, with all these losses, you're going to get a refund. Like, whoa, I didn't even know that. That's how crazy this game is. You just have to play it. For a lot of us, it's like we're so worried about making what we view as money off of the deal. We don't even know the value of a deal, truthfully. So there are so many times where I'm like, man, this deal was a dud. I lost. And then it's like, actually, you got 70,000 of tax losses, and that got you $20,000 refund. It's like, oh, I guess I didn't lose. I kind of broke even, but went up a little with all those tax losses, and it's cash flowing. If I would have known that, I would have definitely did the deal. So you start to grow. But not knowing that actually keeps you on the sideline longer because you don't understand the true profitability of the deal. So you sit on the sideline longer, like, should I really get in? You don't understand all the benefits to even make that assessment. You're not educated enough to even make an assessment of if now is a good time for you to get in real estate or what the benefits are, because you don't know enough about the benefits to even weigh them appropriately. Hey, Brian, can you discuss how to find special needs or niche tenants in your area? I have some deals and want to be able to get it rented quickly. Well, first, before you got into that, you would have to get licensed and certified because this market is heavily protected and heavily regulated. So I would say we start off there. And then if there's something that you think makes sense, you can kind of get a little deeper into it. Marketing is marketing is kind of two parts. One part is the most important part is actually knowing what to state in your marketing. So what am I saying? And not only what am I saying, but understanding that it's marketing the most is the actual property. So then what does the market want out of the property? What features do they want in the property? How do they want it to look? What color should it be? How big should the kitchen be? What type of finish should be on the kitchen? What location should it be in? These are your marketing tools as well. So sometimes people try to go out and how do I market my property before you buy it? Because the purchase of the asset itself, you should be looking at the property like, is this meeting the market's needs? Is it meeting their needs? If it meets their needs and features itself well and is located well, then whenever you do any type of marketing around that property and just get people there, when they get there, they're going to continue to be sold because the property is going to market itself. So you almost want a property that markets itself. That's going to make your marketing easier because now all you have to do is just get bodies there. And that's easy because then you just need to find people who are Googling home for mom and or dad or whatever, autistic kid, what happens when I'm gone, and then you start targeting ads on your home and how it's a solution for XYZ reasons. And there's a lot of solutions to being a participant in this. The biggest solution is, or the biggest value is that you're providing uh, a higher level of care, customized care. Because a big box facility, if it's got a couple hundred people in it and 50, 60 workers, it's not as personalized as somewhere that has 10 people and 3 workers that everybody knows, 3 caregivers. That type of care. Also, if you think about like public health scares and pandemics and these types of things, and then you have a nice small residential home that is very closely kept group, and you have some big facility with hundreds of people running in and out of it every day. The health standards, like the parents won't even be able to come visit because of the regulations. Whereas you're not going to have that at a smaller, more residential group home. So when you get into this business, the marketing is everything, is what I'm trying to say. It goes beyond marketing for tenants. It goes to like even the purchase of the asset itself has to actually meet the need. It becomes higher because this is a group care home. It's all about the care, the location, and it's all about all that stuff. There is no bell or whistle you can put in an ad that's going to get people. The property itself has to hook them. Or you go the Medicaid route, and then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. The one thing I'll say about the Medicaid route is that's a different type of marketing because that's just a scarcity game. So you just need to talk to the social workers and the different agencies that are more on the leading edge of that, building different relationships within the community, and people just get referred to your facilities. So I know the location of some of your buildings. Like you're doing a lot of deals in the historic districts, and the location of your properties, some of your multifamily properties, in particular, Roland, those are going to actually be really good assets to do this in those historic districts in particular. I think you could make a lot of money doing this. I think that would be maybe the smartest transition you ever did. If you transition a lot of your multis that are in those districts in particular, gold mine. You may be sitting on a gold mine right now. I think you are. We should definitely talk about it. When do you expect the interest rates to drop? I'm in the refinance process. I mean, rates are already going back down. I think they'll continue to go down as we get deeper. I believe the date would be like June of 24, kind of in that range, where you might see, I think the Fed just pick up the pace a little bit. If you see the Fed just pick up the pace, like right now they're projecting 3 or 4 cuts. If they start talking like, yo, we're doing 6 cuts, which I don't necessarily see, it'll get crazy. I would say by 2025, it'll be really insane. So you have to think about the refinance. I'm not sure why you're doing the refinance, but if it's something you can push off a little, you might want to push it off and kind of see where rates go. I would imagine if we get the first rate cut by like March and then have another strong one projected for June or before, you're going to be in a good position to kind of wait it out 3 months. Maybe get a HELOC or bridge loan. Clay said, I watched a guy's video and he said he gets refinanced into deals. Are you from? I'm not sure specifically what he's talking about in terms of getting refinanced into a deal, unless he's jumping into people's deals when they're refinancing. That's a good question. Ain't no half stepping, knowledge is away. Does it make sense to buy a property near established universities or hospitals and pay a bit more? Or should we focus on any type C zones? Maybe both. Focus on some of the type C You can buy next to the universities and the hospitals, but there are also universities and hospitals in C neighborhoods at the end of the day. So you can do a combination of both. But I think it just depends on who you want to rent to. There's nothing wrong with buying premium real estate, but you need a premium rental strategy. So buying premium real estate without a premium rental strategy is crazy. It's crazy. And a lot of people do it though, because they're afraid of the hood. For me, if I'm buying a premium real estate, I'm going to go with a premium strategy. Premium strategy would be some type of creative financing strategy, special needs housing. It's not going to be a straight up BRRRR deal. Not that you can't build high quality workforce and rental housing. But if you're buying in those really premium neighborhoods, you're going to need one of those strategies. You're going to want to invest in your education. Trust me. Because if you do it the right way, you're going to make $15,000 a month, $10,000 a month off of one deal. Or you're going to position yourself to get some nice cash flow and a chunk of change up front. And not even have cash or credit. You're really only limited by your ability to absorb this information. If you just take the time and absorb enough real estate information, go out, test it out, you only need one or two deals to change your life. And that's no cap. Like one or two deals, knowing what I know now and whatever I know, you guys have access to. As a VIP mentees, like you have access to it. What I know right now is like you could get out in a couple of deals. At least get a foot out the 9 to 5, a toe out. But you got to go for it. On the location makes plenty of sense. It's what I'm trying to get to. Okay. Where do you see the Allegheny area in 3 years? This is a part of Philly that is C class. Maybe it used to be considered almost C minus class. Like it's a rougher pocket. And it's been developing for a while. I think Allegheny Ave will flip when North Philly, there's a train station in North Philly. It's like I want to say it's an Amtrak. It's an old station that's been down. And there are always some talks and rumblings on how it's going to come back and they're going to build a speed rail to New York. And when they do that, the whole pocket is going to explode. The whole North Philly is going to explode. I do see a vision one day where North Philly looks like Center City. And it'll happen. I'm going to go out and come back. It'll happen. It will happen. No one answer this question. And to answer your question for the 3 years, I don't know where it'll be in 3 years. I just know where it will be in 20 years. And it will be worth holding. And like you'll wish you had 10 properties in 20 years. And I think these properties will rent for a mint. I think even the 3 beds will rent for probably $2,500 to $2,800 a month in 10, 20 years. Easy. 10 years. $2,500 a month. Right now, they're going at about $1,700 a month. So let's say if you're cash flowing right now and you're getting $500 a month off of that, $1,700, $1,200 is going to debt service. You hold it for 10 years, it's bringing in $2,500. So you're getting an extra, what's that, $800? An extra, $800 on top of your $500. So now you're cash flowing $1,300 a month off of that same house. Now, if you had 10 of them, you go from making $5,000 a month to like $13,000 a month off the same houses. That's the gift of real estate that a lot can't see. Can't really fathom that. You think you have to go so fast and so big, but you don't. You just acquire a couple of properties and you'll be thinking, oh, in order to get $10,000 a month, I have to get, if these properties are only cash flowing $500 a month, I have to get 20 of them. Now you still might only need 10. and just take your time. And then when you get there, the rents increase. And you're like, oh, I didn't think the rents would increase. Well, they did. Now you make more money. That's how the real estate works. It rewards the players. The haters just sit on the sidelines and make excuses, and then try to jump in out of excitement into the school of hard knocks and get bopped over the head. And then they blame the game. They blame real estate. Like real estate is reckless. And it's like, well, you ran in the school of hard knocks. You learned the hard knock. That's why they call it the school of hard knocks. It's a hurt business. You're going to get knocked out. But if you learn from others' mistakes, you're going to avoid the big stuff, learn how to stay in a sweet spot long enough to build a base of 30 houses. And that's enough to just never work. And then you can add to that gradually if you want. Sometimes you might not want to. You might just pivot and you maybe get into another passion or some type of diversification. So it's about having that freedom, right? Have some decisions for yourselves. I'm doing a refinance for the BRRRR strategy. Where do you see Alligator? Okay, I am doing a refinance for the BRRRR strategy. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think you have to do it, but don't go with a 30-year fix. That's all I'll tell you. Go with a short term and then maybe refinance again in 2 years. Just make sure there's no prepayment penalty for refinancing early. Roland said, thank you as usual. Fire. Definitely, if you tap into that strategy, it's over. Your cash flow is going to go so high. You're going to go up to like 50 grand a month. I believe somebody like you, because you hustle a lot, I believe you could go up to like in 2 years, like 50 grand a month. I really do. Because you're in the pockets. You're already buying the right types of properties. So it's really just going to be connecting with the zoning attorney and getting the paperwork ironed out. Just moving it right out of the way, or every obstacle. Can you refinance without an appraisal? Not really, because the problem is, I guess what you guys don't see, because we're all looking from kind of the bottom up, right? So we're approaching this as, I'm a new investor and I'm looking up and trying to get money from this lender. So you put the lender on the pedestal. The real reality is the lenders that we talk to typically are on the bottom pedestal in terms of having money. They have the least money. The big money is the one giving them the money. And they're giving them the money because they've convinced those people that they have the ability to underwrite. Hey, we have experience investing. We understand real estate. We can evaluate it. We're going to do X, Y, Z. And part of that it is that way because these lenders will take this debt and package it and sell it. It's like the Big Short. They will package it, collateralize it, and sell it. In order to be able to sell your debt, your refinance debt, which is another mortgage, they need the appraisal because it's part of the underwriting checks and balances in the transaction. If I'm going to buy debt from you, I need the appraisal to confirm the valuation, which is why the understanding how to think like an appraiser is such a powerful tool, because you can now see value and incentives and how deals are structured and how they can be packaged and sold and what the security interest is. You start seeing a lot through the appraiser and their importance in every transaction. So you kind of can't. There are some people, I'm sure there's some guy out there who will cash you out of a deal without an appraisal. But for the most part, if you want to play in the big arena with the big fish, the appraisal is always going to be a part of it. And you almost like that because it makes your deal more packageable. I hope that helps. I'm going to answer some more questions and I'll tap back in. What's the cost of the VIP? You just have to book a call. If anybody's interested in the mentorship program, click the links in the description. Tap into the free real estate training there. You can book a call with me and my team. You can DM me. You can, text me. Some of you guys have my number. however you got here, email me. You can just reach out. You'll get a hold of me. Tap into some of the trainings, of course, and just stay locked in. We're going to be dropping a lot. I mean, we're doing another ride along in less than a month, guys. Tickets almost sold out. This is going to be an epic one. This is going to be an epic one. But if you want to know the cost, just reach out and tap in. We'll talk about the cost, see how to get you started. You know, I work with the majority, I would say like 90% of my people one-on-one. So it's definitely important to get to know you and what you're looking for and make sure it would even be a good fit. Even these days, I don't have time to work with everybody anymore. I just don't. So I've been taking on less and less people actually as we go on as VIP mentees, but I'm happy to help. You know, if it's something that you really feel will help you to get to the next level, I have no problem doing what I can to tap you in and keep exposing you to new strategies until you find your niche and make your money. Some people come in, I say a lot of people come in and just knock it out of the park, 30, 90 days they're in a deal and they're making it happen. And some of the success stories just blow me away. But it's all about finding your strategy because there's multiple strategies. You just got to find that one that works for you. And it's lights out. Would you wait till March if in hard money right now? Not necessarily. I wouldn't do a bridge either because you're going to incur more closing costs. It depends on the deal. It's like with the 5, I don't know. You have to wait it out. I think it's a risk to wait. I think you just shouldn't go into a 30-year fix. And you need to go into a loan with no prepayment penalty because a lot of these lenders will try to put a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 5-year prepayment penalty. And that could jam you because then you got to refinance out and they're trying to charge you 3 points. So you got to be at a flat, I can pay this off whenever I want. No penalty. Those can be the properties you get for your kids, grandkids. Let them enjoy, return 20 plus years out. Yeah, you'll be the favorite grandparent. Yeah, definitely. If you're passing down that cash flow, you're going to be the man. You're going to be the hero of the family for sure. Passing out cash flow. People inheriting cash flow. That's a good inheritance to leave somebody. Some cash flow with a property management company and a blueprint. The 5-6 arm or 7-6 arm. I mean, either or. Check the rate, shop it out, see which one you want to go with. I mean, just see which option is kind of the best. I say 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other. Maybe somebody will be running a special. You just got to catch somebody and then read the fine print. Make sure they're not trying to bury anything, bury the lead. Chase maybe used to do streamline refi without, Chase used to do streamline refi without appraisal if they currently held your mortgage. Yeah, because they already appraised it. And they have, remember that back of the envelope appraisal? Well, they'll just call the same appraisal company and say, hey, what are these values? We're just trying to make a decision. We know the market's been up. It's not worth less than you appraised it for 2 years ago. Where do you think it's at now? Can you do a quick adjustment for us? And they're going to do it. Or they're going to be like, if you don't do it, we're going to fire you and just hire some other appraisal and let them do all our deals. So they have leverage. If they're moving 500 mortgages a year out of the office, the appraiser's going to do what they need. So they're getting an appraisal. You just don't know about it. It's not the same type because you're not paying for it, but they're getting it. They've already been in the property, so it's easier to do. With all the flips in Philly, would you recommend vacant lots, medium distressed, and full guts, or should we avoid the full guts if we're new? Good question. I would say it depends. If you're doing it with your own crew and you're doing it for your first time, go as cosmetic as possible because you'll still learn a lot, but you'll take on less risk. I think the problem with going cosmetic even is that most people don't know what cosmetic is. They don't understand the difference. They don't know how far you can go before it gets into like a gut job. So a lot of people think a deal is cosmetic, but then it turns out, no, that was really a gut job. You just didn't know it. So now you're paying way too much money. You're paying way too much money. And then it's like, man, I paid for the deal. I purchased this as a cosmetic, but now the rehab ballooned into a gut job. That can happen, and that can just kill you. So I think it depends. If you're working with an experienced group, maybe you don't have to worry about that. But if you're doing something just on your own, I think you should start off cosmetic and work your way backwards. Vacant lots, it's a different ballgame. There's a lot involved there. I think it's more advanced. And then you have distressed and full guts. Yeah. So I would err on the side of caution. Do light cosmetic. So that should be that, guys. I hope that helped. If you guys want to tap into the ride along, lock in the ticket quickly. Second Saturday of the new year, we're going to go see a bunch of properties together, show you guys the ropes. So definitely tap in there. I had a couple people tap in today, so we're almost on 8. But definitely lock into that. Reach out about the boots on the ground. We only have, I think, 1 spot open. I think somebody's going to tap in tomorrow, so maybe that fills up before the new year, and then everybody's on a waiting list. And if you want to tap into the one-on-one mentorship program, just click the links in the description. Stay locked in. Like, comment, subscribe. And I'm not sure if we'll get another one in this year on a Monday night. So if we don't, Happy New Year. We'll see you guys on the other side. And we got to get to this cash flow. And maybe I'll shock you guys and pop up on a Monday before the new year. So hopefully we'll see you guys soon. Everybody be safe for the holiday and stay locked in. We got to hit 2024 from day one. Like, the clock's ticking. Take advantage of it. Q1, if you haven't done your deal yet, Q1 is, we're getting the deal done. That's got to be the mindset. I'll see you guys on the other side.